He couldn't just become a scientist. He had to impersonate one.
Well, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man. It takes several years to become a notable scientist. He could just kind of impersonate one and it would have been
Just
fine.
get good, dude.
He's just exhausted.
Yeah,
We
welcome
love
to
him.
college. Sing to me, Melpomene, muse of tragedy, of the stories we wish to hear, and the ways they are connected. Sing of the fears, the tapes, and the avatars that serve them. Welcome to FanDive. My name is Chaos.
My name is Malabunk.
And today we're actually talking about a subject I have next to no connection to.
And I have so much connection to.
Magnus Archives. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing a ton of talking for once, which is weird for me.
I get to rant. I've got a captive audience. This is great. I'm so excited. The Magnus Archives is my baby, and it is like the content I've done with it on my own personal stuff is like some of the most popular stuff I've ever done. So I'm so excited to be able to talk about the Magnus Archives.
Okay. First, I gotta do Andy's job. Tell me, explain, what is this? I imagine I am more clueless than I am even now.
The Magnus Archives is a audio podcast. That's what a podcast is. It's audio, like us. It's a narrative. We start with a whole bunch of unconnected horror stories being narrated by one person, and over the course of the podcast, you start to learn that these stories are connected through the people that appear in them, and the people that appear in them start slowly entering the lives of those who are recording the stories. That's kind of the 10,000-foot overview, I think. Horror anthology.
And it's been over for a couple years now, right?
Yes, and they do have a sequel that is currently being made, the Magnus Protocol, which I'm a little bit behind on.
The only two connections I have to Magnus Archives is that a lot of Welcome to Night Vale fans went over there because it's a similar uneasy horror vibe, and then also Rusty Quill, which are the people who made Magnus Archives, are also connected to another horror anthology podcast that I like to listen to, which is Gods of Appalachia. So I get the vibe, but beyond that, I've seen cosplayers, and that's about it.
So Night Vale and Magnus Archives are they're similar in like vibes. You know, one is kind of purple eyes, the other one is green eyes. But as far as like the content within them, they are very different. Like I went from Magnus Archives to Night Vale, and it was an abrupt right turn into okay, our horror can be funny.
Horror
it's not
can
just
be
tragedy.
a fun time, okay? Leave Night Vale alone.
Okay, so for anyone who is listening who has not seen Magnus Archives, I'm going to be discussing a lot of spoilers. For those of you who have seen it, I'm going to largely stay in the plot lines of Season 1, but I'm going to be talking about the lore that we see in, like, episodes 111 and beyond. If you've seen the series, you know how important episode 111 is. But I have, like, a notes thing. I went through the transcripts to make sure my information was right. To start us off, Chaos, I had you do a little exercise. How would you categorize fear itself?
If
you were just given fear as a whole?
Everything.
All right, well, we talked about this before we started recording.
No. I myself, I can figure out my own answer.
Okay, go.
Threat to physical safety, threat to mental safety, mental perception of a threat that is not real, threat of men, and I had something else.
Is that men as in humanity or just men?
Threat capable of being done by a fellow man.
Okay.
And I had another thing that was like, threat of illness that eventually would lead into the psychological understanding of supernatural horror and like why are people scared of dead bodies? Because if you eat one, you will become a dead body.
Okay. Now that we have that set up, I'm going to give you two summaries of the general start of the Magnus Archives. One that is the information that you get from the start, and the other one that has the lore that we get later, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
The Magnus Institute is an academic organization that specializes in the esoteric and the paranormal. The Institute works in active investigations. When those run dry, the cases are transferred to the archives down below the Institute for storage. The story starts in 2016, and Jonathan Sims, our main character, has been promoted by his boss, Elias Bouchard, and has been moved from a researcher at the Institute to being the head archivist of the archives after his predecessor died on the job. The archives are in complete disarray, and John takes it upon himself to start digitizing and creating audio versions of the original testaments of individuals, which are referred to as statements. He recruits the help of 2 assistants he likes, Sasha James and Timothy Stoker, and 1 assistant he doesn't, Martin Blackwood.
I've heard the name Martin Blackwood because me and Andy would often joke, it's like, hey, is that a Martin Blackwood cosplayer or Martin and the Littlewood cosplayer?
Yes, so Martin Blackwood is one of the assistants. John's original interactions with Martin, as far as like the way that we hear him, are really funny, because in the very first episode, he's like, I've got 2 researchers to help me, and 1 who's going to do nothing but bring delays. So he hates Martin from the get-go. When the show was airing, the ship of John and Martin was referred to as the dinghy, because there were so few people who shipped it, and they were so sure that it would sink.
That is iconic, and I love it, and I'm going to hold it in my heart forever. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So it is through this digitizing process where he's taking the statements and digitizing them that he finds statements that do not properly record. They glitch out whatever device they're on. The only thing that works to get audio versions of these statements are tape recorders, and that is how the podcast is told. So everything we hear is recorded on tapes.
I love a good lore dump.
Are you ready for the lore that we get later?
Yeah, sure.
In the late 1700s to the early 1800s, a man named Jonah Magnus started serving a god of fear known as the Ceaseless Watcher, and he built the Magnus Institute to collect recounts of encounters of all the fears, specifically for the Ceaseless Watcher to feed on. He worked with a man named Robert Smirk, who is an architect who coined the names of the 14 fears that is largely used to describe them throughout the series. Later, on his own, Jonah Magnus connected the Institute to the tunnels of an old prison that was also built by Robert Smirk that was created to balance all of the fears. Jonah Magnus was so dedicated to his god, the Ceaseless Watcher, that he learned how to get immortality by swapping his own eyes with the eyes of whatever new host he needed, leaving his original body in the panopticon of the old prison to kind of watch over everything. When the podcast starts, Jonah Magnus's host is none other than Elias Bouchard, Jonathan Sims's boss. And the reason he chose John is that John came to the Institute with a mark of the fear god that handles fate. So John is unknowingly feeding the Ceaseless Watcher by recording the statements, and as such, gaining his favor. And that's kind of the lore.
Okay, couple questions here.
Go forth.
When the OG guy removes his eyeballs, right, from one to another, is his
consciousness is going with, so he's fully
but if he takes his eyeballs out, how much a period of time does he have to put them in the new host before his eyeballs and his consciousness, are just in his eyeballs and not his hands holding them at that point?
I don't think we are officially told.
Okay.
But
and
I
does
do
the
know
body that he's putting his eyeballs in need to be alive or dead? Because that's going to complicate things.
The only ones we've seen him swap, they were alive for.
Okay.
Or at least were killed in the process. Whenever there are crossovers with the Magnus Archives, the fears are the thing that is mainly brought over. The fears and just the general structure of the Institute. So I'm going to talk to you about the categorizations of the fears, but one thing you do need to know is that the podcast has multiple episodes dedicated to, hey, the way we categorize the fears doesn't make sense. There's a lot of bleed through, there's a lot of overlap, it's not possible for humans to describe them, etc., etc.
I mean,
so every single
categorization in general is not good.
Yeah, every fear has like 16 names, and one of the quotes from a character who's describing everything is that trying to describe the fears by their names is like trying to describe a shirt by talking about the concept of color. There are 3 terms that you need to know that refer to somebody's relationship with a fear god. The fear gods are also called the dread powers or the fears. You'll hear me using those interchangeably. There is marked, which is that you've had a direct experience with the fear in a way that has permanently changed you. The severity depends from person to person. It can be anything from physical scars to, like, witnessing something you shouldn't. The second term is being eaten. Eaten is that you have died to the fear. And there is an avatar. An avatar is somebody who has made the choice to serve a fear god, and as an exchange can kind of call on some of the powers of that god. And generally they are seen as people who are no longer human. So being eaten and being an avatar are kind of like the Percy Jackson, like godly parents of the Magnus Archives fandom. So Magnus Archives fans would be like, oh yeah, no, I'm an avatar of da-da-da-da, but I'd get eaten by da-da-da-da.
I trust all of my, hey, what would I be if assignment questions to my friend Owl, who will vibe check me to an inch of my life. Like, I understand I have no secret left unturned, ever. Owl knows things I swear I have not said.
That sounds like an avatar of the web or the eye, just
Well,
from what you've said.
That's Owl for you, so yeah.
The fears are as follows. We have the Ceaseless Watcher, or the Eye.
I do like a good watcher.
We have the Stranger. We have the Spiral. We have the Vast. We have the Buried. The Web. The Lonely. The Corruption. The Dark. The Desolation. The End. The Flesh. The Hunt. The Slaughter. And the weird half-entity known as the Extinction. So those are the categories.
I like watchers. I know that name. They're bastards, but I know them.
You won't get this reference, but there's a quote in one of the later episodes that just refers to the main character as the Ceaseless Watcher's special little boy.
Aww.
And I think that's the title that Grian has, like, emotionally, as far as the Evo Watchers. The Ceaseless Watcher is why there's so many Hermitcraft crossovers. Just because everyone's like, oh my god, Watchers.
Watchers? I know that name.
Alright, we'll start with the Eye. So the Eye, it is also known as the Beholding, the Ceaseless Watcher. It is the main fear that we're kind of interacting with through the majority of the podcast. It is the fear of having your secrets known and being perceived, being watched, stalked, etc., etc. Avatars of the Eye, depending on how close they are to the fear god, have different abilities. Jonathan Sims, our main character, he has quite a few because he ends up being very powerful by the end of the podcast.
Because he's the main character?
He's the main character, and also because he kind of caused the apocalypse on accident.
Bro. Dude.
It wasn't. He was manipulated into causing the apocalypse by Elias Bouchard / Jonah Magnus. It's okay. Also, fun fact. So, Jonathan Sims is the main character of the podcast, correct?
Sure.
The main writer of the podcast is named Jonathan Sims, and the voice actor for Jonathan Sims is the main writer of the podcast, who is Jonathan Sims.
It's Cecil all over again.
Welcome
to Night Vale.
We call the main writer / voice actor Johnny Sims to avoid confusion. But the thing that makes it funnier is that he's also in a band called The Mechanisms, and his character in the band is called Johnny DeVille. So the reason that Jonathan Sims is named the way he is just because this story was not supposed to have the overarching meta plot that it does, and by the time that it had that plot, it was too late to change the name. So, powers of the Ceaseless Watcher. There's compulsion, so you can compel someone to either tell you the truth or give you a statement. Statement being a recounting of an encounter with a fear. They can call on the Ceaseless Watcher to kind of just evaporate whoever they're talking to. This is used against avatars, because pretty much what it is like, hey, you are a being that invokes fear. My god is supposed to know literally everything about you. If it knows everything about you, you are no longer scary, and therefore your fear god has no use for you, therefore you're dead. Pretty much.
Therefore, checkmate, I rolled that 20, get out of here.
Yeah, checkmate, go home. You can have the ability to look through other people's eyes. This also includes more metaphorical eyes or depictions of eyes. So it is canon that in the crown molding of the Institute and the Archives, there are eyes carved into it that Elias Bouchard can see out of. So if you are in the Institute or the Archives, you are being observed. No matter what. They have eyes on you always. Occasionally, people of the Beholding have the ability to just kind of see the future.
Just cash,
Just casually. By the end of the podcast, Jonathan Sims has the ability to know everything. Elias Bouchard does also partially have the ability to know everything. He has the ability to just kind of know information. That's just a thing. Sometimes characters notice that it's been bestowed upon them, and sometimes they don't. There is one moment where John reads an entire statement and then goes, wait a second, I don't understand French. This whole statement was in French.
Wait a moment. That sounds so much like me and what I do for the MCYT people.
Should we move on to another fear, or should I talk a little bit more about how
we should
John
move on. You've been talking for a hot minute.
I'm sorry. Okay, now we have the stranger, my fear, my baby. The stranger is also called the I do not know you or the circus. The stranger is the uncanny valley. It is dolls and mannequins. We see a group we see these two guys who basically are the delivery men of the fears called Breakin' and Hope. And we see Nikola Orsanov, who is a mannequin, brought to life, who runs kind of a little circusy thing. That's pretty much the stranger. I don't know what else to say about that. If you've ever heard the audio on TikTok where it's like, how could I sound anything silly? I'm plastic. That audio, that is Nikola Orsanov. That's Nikola Orsanov.
It.
Next one is one that you kind of got. You were talking about kind of mental instability and like fear of kind of lying and hallucinations. That's what the spiral is. Lies, deceit, hallucinations. It is also encompasses like fractals is kind of a big part of it. It does also include the distortion, which is not, it's like a weird half aspect of the spiral. It's something that is not meant to be understood, but accidentally got understood. The spiral is trying to end the world and is supposed to be incomprehensible. Hey, my assistant, would you like to go inside that ritual? And,
Go comprehend it.
Take all the energy?
Go.
Yeah.
Do it.
And it wasn't go comprehend, it's hey, go become the vessel for that. Which created Michael Distortion, who is an aspect of the spiral who's not meant to be understood, and unfortunately has now been irrevocably tied to something that is designed for understanding. Next we have the vast, big open spaces, the deep sea, falling, ladders, technically. When you are an avatar of the vast, you can just kind of summon something called Sky Blue. Sky Blue is pretty much, hey, you know how you were previously in a location? Wrong, you're just in the sky now. Everything is just sky blue around you. Good luck. Occasionally it's just fog around you.
I know this is supposed to be terrifying. That sounds so fun, though.
Yeah, there's also just, hey, would you like to experience terminal velocity?
I mean.
Next we have the buried. The buried is the opposite of the vast. It is claustrophobia, suffocation. It also is more metaphorical suffocation, like having a lot of stress from like work or overwhelming responsibility. I believe we see exactly like one buried avatar in the whole podcast, and his whole thing is just digging graves. That's all he does. Next we have the web, or the mother of puppets, or the spider, or the 10,000 other names it goes by. The web is the fear of manipulation, of a lack of free will. It does also include spiders, but
is that just for the aesthetic or because they're cute?
Spiders, as in like you're caught in the web of your own design. Step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. That type of thing.
Okay, because they're cute. Got it.
The main avatar of the web that we see is Annabelle Kane. She's kind of played as an antagonist, and we actually meet her, and she's like, "Oh, you're concerned if you have free will? I mean, you do." And I guess like, yeah, sure, I knew exactly where you were going, and I set this up for you to find it, but you have free will.
You still chose to be here.
Yeah. I think like the quote is something along the lines of, like, your choices have been your own, and they have been of your own design, the same way you get food when you're hungry. Like, yeah, there's impulses driving you, but they are your own impulses, and they are your free will. Avatars of the web just get the ability to kind of know where they're supposed to be and when. The fear god of the web, just so the web itself, does have an ability to think more complexly than the other fears, and it is able to kind of plan ahead in that regard. It is canonically the only one who is able to do that. Now we have the lonely. The lonely is, of course, isolation. It is also very much an allegory for depression. Avatars of the lonely have the ability to completely, like out of sight, out of mind, as well as just kind of turn invisible and fade into the background. And they can summon something called the Forsaken. The Forsaken is a location. It is a gravelly, foggy beach where you will just kind of slowly fade away with time as you realize that people have forgotten about you. Martin Blackwood almost becomes an avatar of the lonely because of the events of the podcast. We get to see him firsthand kind of using some of those abilities and how they change a person. The main avatar we see, other than Martin Blackwood's, I guess he's more heavily marked than being an avatar, because avatars require an active choice. There's a threshold that you must step over. The main avatar that we see is Peter Lucas. I think the thing that you will enjoy about Peter Lucas is people ship Peter Lucas and Elias Bouchard specifically in the genre of, I want another divorce.
No, not divorced
There is
couples.
there is a quote. You can find clips of the voice actors for Elias Bouchard and Peter Lucas going, "I want another divorce." Like
There,
that's the bit.
my, I don't even know what show this is from. It's from some old black and white show of like a man and a woman arguing of like people think we're married, and the woman's like, well, let's get married so we can get a divorce. Like I'm over this.
The voice actor for Peter Lucas was like answering questions, and one of the questions that was asked in like a Q&A or something was like how Peter Lucas reacted to the end of the world. The voice actor for Peter Lucas is like, yeah, so he bought one of those umbrellas that has like a giant like hand motion of the bird on the top, and so anytime he goes outside, he just opens that umbrella, so that's all that the ceaseless watcher sees is just the giant vulgar hand gesture. Next is the corruption or the crawling rot. This one is fear of illness. It is illness, it is mold, it is every other bug but spiders. It is also toxic relationships.
I guess that's an illness.
Well, it's that you kind of feel that same sickening feeling when it's like that really toxic relationship versus like infestation or mold or rot is the way that they explain it.
I don't know. I don't date. Any
I don't share.
relationship, I'm like, I don't know, man. That's a you problem.
Yeah, so the main avatar that we see of the corruption is none other than Jane Prentice, the antagonist of season 1. She is a woman made of worms. She's not made of worms, but she's known as the Flesh Hive.
Do you? Oh my god, this is a little bit of a tangent, but also not. Did you ever watch Naruto growing up?
I did not. I'm sorry.
There's a character in there who like is really only relevant for like one tournament arc, but like he sticks around, so like you kind of keep seeing him. And his whole thing is that his clan, like his family, like his ancestors, like this is a tradition for his family, allow bugs to infest them and literally allow their bodies to become hives for these insects. And the way he fights is by having like holes in his hands and letting the bugs come out and attack his enemies for him.
Close.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Jane Prentice is like one of the few avatars that like icks out the majority of the viewer base. I watched the Magnus Archives for the first time with a close friend of mine, and the second we hit the Jane Prentice episodes, they just left. They're like, no, you can listen to those on your own. I don't need that again. And I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Tapping out.
Well, because Jane Prentice does appear, and so do her worms. This is where the tag canon typical worms comes from, by the way, is the Magnus Archives and their worms. The dark is the dark and also what hides in it. This has, in my opinion, one of the spookiest statements. I love the episode Tucked In. It is such a good episode. It's pretty much a basic fear. They do, however, also control black holes. So there was a point that there was a black hole being created in a warehouse on Earth, and John witnessed it.
You know, as you do.
Well, because okay, I'll explain that when we get to the end of the fears, because that's kind of important, and it also explains his whole starting the apocalypse thing. Next, we have the Desolation or the Cult of the Lightless Flame. Pretty much torture. The main avatar we see is Jude Perry. Jude Perry is a member of the Cult of the Lightless Flame, and she is a woman who looks pretty normal, and then you touch her and she's made of melting wax, and she will just kind of get you. The Lightless Flame was supposed to be a person. We get to see this really fascinating way the story unfolds regarding Agnes Montague. Agnes Montague is the Lightless Flame that, well, she's a spark of the Lightless Flame that is considered like kind of the Jesus of the Cult of the Lightless Flame, and we only hear her story through other people. The statement we get from Jude Perry, kind of the way that Desolation is described, is like, oh yeah, you know, I did kill the guy, but that wasn't the point. The point was that I burned down his house, and I blew up his car, and, you know, I forged some legal documents and got him in the midst of some really heavy material, and, you know, it wasn't the fact that he was dead, it was that his family was suffering, and that's what fed the fear god. So it's doing everything but killing the guy, pretty much.
It was, please pay attention to my efforts. I put a lot of work into this.
Yes. We're getting to the end of the list, don't worry. We have the end, or terminus. It's death. The main guy that we see of this is Oliver Banks / Antonio Blake, depending on which statement you're reading. Oliver Banks, his avatar ability is that every night when he goes to sleep, he dreams of the actual world, frozen in time, and he can see who is about to die. And he doesn't like it. And his solution is, I'm going to go to the place with the least people on Earth. I'm going to get on a boat. I'm going to impersonate a scientist to get on a research boat to go to the least populated place on Earth so I can have a good night's rest. And then that ship gets hit by a meteor.
He couldn't just become a scientist. He had to impersonate one.
Well, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man. It takes several years to become a notable scientist. He could just kind of impersonate one and it would
Just get good, dude.
He's just exhausted.
Yeah, welcome to college.
Oh, God. Okay, moving on. We have these three I'm grouping together. They're the flesh, the hunt, and the slaughter. This is kind of where things get all gooky and mixed up. The flesh is body horror.
I do love the good body horror.
This is also where the part of fear of all living things comes in, because animalistic fear joins this as well. So a lot of the flesh statements you'll hear are like, hey, you know how we treat animals in, like, slaughterhouses? You're now a human in that situation. Have fun. Which it was a little funny to have in the Q&As. Johnny Sims is like, yeah, no, and everyone saw those statements and thought I was like making a thing of pro-veganism. No, it's pro-cannibalism. And I'm like, okay, sure. He's not actually pro-cannibal. Well, conceptually, he's okay with cannibalism. He's not actually a cannibal.
Okay, again, let's go back to that statement where if you eat a dead body, you will become a dead body.
Yeah.
Human bodies contain a lot of grossness that is not meant to be consumed.
Yes, but like kind of it was because specifically the statement had like a thing of like, hey, you know, meat is meat, meat is meat is meat is me is kind of what the line was, and I was like, oh, it's like pro-veganism. Like, no, it's not. Don't eat meat because it's humans. It's, oh yeah, meat is edible. Go eat humans. So the flesh, our main guy that we see is Jared Hopworth. He's the bone turner. What do you think he does as the bone turner?
Well, there's a couple different interpretations we could potentially take from this line of dialogue. There is the whole, like, yeah, this is probably a gravedigger-like character or someone who works at a funeral house. And then there's the possibility of, like, oh, yeah, this is the person who's grinding up the bones, turning them in some sort of machine, therefore composting life into death, into flowers, into beauty. And then there's, like, I don't know, he has a dog. Like,
I mean, he was a florist.
there you go. It's the second one.
No, he did a bit of florism in the apocalypse. But he can make cursed creatures of, like, you know, someone comes to him like, I want a perfect body, and he's like, okay, 4 arms, no head, 6 legs, you're a gymnast. Like, that's kind of John goes to him and is like, hey, for reasons, I need a physical tie to the world as I go and do other things. And you know what? I need you to take one of my ribs.
Sure.
And so,
okay, that's a casual conversation.
Jared Hopworth, the bone turner, is like, can I take 2 of your ribs, one for you and one for me? And John's like, I guess. I'm not really attached to them, which does not mean that it's a good tether to reality if you're willing to let go of your bones.
I mean, some people are born with extra ribs, so, like, maybe he just has some extras.
All right, on to the hunt. So the hunt is, once again, a little more animalistic. It is, you know, fear of hunt, being chased. This is the us versus them mentality, pack mentality. Police officers are part of the hunt. The main hunt avatar we see, Daisy Tonner, is a police officer. Well, she was a police officer, and then she kind of halfway quit. Avatars of the hunt, they get kind of bloodhound abilities, effectively. And that's the hunt. Condensed down really short because this is going on for a long time and I'm still discussing the fears. We have the slaughter. The slaughter is senseless violence. It is war. The main slaughter avatar we see is a YouTube ghost hunter named Melanie King. Melanie King gets shot by a ghost and therefore has a ghost bullet in her that kind of causes her to be marked by the slaughter. She's not fully a slaughter avatar, but she is heavily marked by it because of the ghost bullet. And it is just a lot of driving anger and rage.
I'm just imagining being, like, you're in a situation where you go, you're a ghost, you can't hurt me, and then just being shot.
Just
like,
shot.
That would be a weird situation to try to explain.
I think the funnier situation is John going, hey, you have like a ghost bullet in you and only going, what? No, I don't. I'm just angry all of the time. Don't, no. It's, no. All right, our final one is the weird half entity. Does it count? It depends. It was only really brought up to manipulate another character, but it is called the extinction. The extinction is humanity destroying itself. It is a mix between the desolation and the end. You know, the apocalypse, conspiracy theorists of like, oh, you know, behind the numbers is the truth of what is happening to the world, and that type of thing. Yeah, pollution. That's the extinction. Its first mention was somewhere in the 1800s, I believe, according to statement 138, whatever the Jonah Magnus letter is. But it's kind of, people don't count it. The people who count are the people who love, and the people who don't love it don't really count it. I'm like halfway. We don't see any avatars of the extinction because we first hear about it in episode past episode 100, and the thing is 200 episodes long. So those are the fears. Yay!
Yay, we did it!
I'm gonna give you the overview of the lore, specifically how the apocalypse started and how it correlates to the fears. I mentioned early on when I was giving that lore-based explanation that John was marked by the god of fate. What exactly did that mean, and what did that mean for him? The god of fate is, of course, the web. John, when he was a child, encountered, oh god, I didn't explain Lightners! Oh no! That was what he kind of witnessed as a child, which caused him to believe in the paranormal. However, in the podcast, he plays like he's a giant skeptic about everything. Like, pretty much the first statements we see are straight up Jürgen Leitner books. We do get to see him in podcast, and he gets killed in podcast. And people celebrate the day it happens. Jürgen Leitner's Death Day is a holiday in the Magnus Archives
I
fandom.
love that so much.
It's because of the Jürgen Leitner rant, which is just some person on Discord talking about Jürgen Leitner and how much they hate him. He's marked by the web, and he appears to Jonah Magnus's front door going, I want a job, and Jonah Magnus goes, oh my god, you're marked by the god of fate. This must be a perfect thing for my plan. Because Jonah's plan, or Elias's plan, whatever, same guy, he wants to do something called, I think it's called the Watcher's Crown? The Watcher's Crown. And basically it is, hey, every other fear is trying to end the world. However, they're trying to end the world by only bringing in their fear, and that doesn't quite work. You can't have up without a concept of down. You need to, if you want to end the world, you need all of the fears at once. So, Elias goes, hey, you know, I need like a person who has a high ranking in the view of the eye to be marked by every single fear so that they have a connection to every single fear so they can pull every single fear into the world. So he promotes John to head archivist.
You have had a horrible life. Let's make it worse.
So he gets marked by the web, then he gets marked by the eye by joining the Institute. You're immediately part of the eye if you join the Institute, because you can't quit unless you blind yourself. Or at least the archives. You can't quit unless you blind yourself. He is then marked by the spiral. So Michael Distortion, you know, the archival assistant turned messed up guy, he starts appearing in statements, and then he starts appearing near the archival assistants and stuff like that. Helen Richardson comes into the archives and is like, hey, I have a statement, and so she explains her encounters with the mysterious yellow door, which is a distortion, and then when she leaves, she does not leave through the exit, she leaves through the yellow door that John doesn't realize isn't supposed to be there until it is too late. So, have you ever heard, like, coffee isn't as good as disguising taste as you may think, and it's even worse at disguising texture?
You clearly never tried to poison someone. Oh, yeah, I know this.
Yes. Elias Bouchard. Perfect.
Love that.
No one cares if you have trauma, John. It comes with the office job. That is Timothy Stoker. Well, that's a blooper of Timothy Stoker. Well, that's a fan request for a dialogue. Next, he gets marked by the corruption, because Jane Prentice shows up in the Institute with her wormy ways. Okay, yeah, so he gets marked by that. During this, I didn't explain it. Okay, during
Doesn't matter, keep going.
Everybody gets split up. Sasha James, you remember Sasha James? She previously had an encounter with Michael, and Michael told her, hey, fire extinguishers can kill the worms, because it's CO2. And she's like, okay, cool. So Tim is going out and getting fire extinguishers. She decides to run to artifact storage, because the Magnus Institute also stores artifacts that are spooky and haunted. And something was delivered there that she ends up encountering. It is a table that hosts a creature called the Not Them. The Not Them is a creature who will replace you entirely in the world, will look nothing like you, act nothing like you, but insist that it is you, and only one person that you previously knew will know who the original was. And we get Not Sasha, and Not Sasha, she is a stranger. She's a stranger avatar. So, he's marked by the stranger. He finds his way down into the tunnels. Because they find the tunnels during the worm incident. He finds his way down into the tunnels, trying to find things. He's in the tunnels. In the tunnels, he finds none other than Jürgen Leitner. Talks to Jürgen Leitner for a minute, leaves, Elias Bouchard appears and kills Jürgen Leitner on tape, and John gets framed for the murder. He has to run away. He's living with his ex-girlfriend, Georgie, who's dating Melanie. Somehow, statements are getting delivered to Georgie's house for John to read. And they are only tape recorder statements, only true statements. And he's a bit paranoid, like, who is sending these? What's going on?
It's a keep doing your job moment. Just because you're in hiding doesn't mean you can quit.
Yeah, it's because he is compelled to read statements. Once he starts one, it is very difficult for him to stop. He gets a statement about Jude Perry. The Lightless Flame Woman goes to meet Jude Perry, shakes her hand. Her wax burns his hand. Oh no, he's got a big hand wound now. Okay, fine. That wasn't the answer. He gets another statement talking about Mike Shelley, the Vast person. He goes to the Vast person. And the Vast person's like, okay, hi, my name's Mike Shelley. Do you want to be nice or do you want to fall from terminal velocity? He falls from terminal velocity. He is now marked by the Vast. He is saved by Daisy Tonner, the Hunt avatar who's a police officer who's been investigating John for murder. Daisy, and I did not mention Basira. Basira also works with Daisy. Daisy is like, hey, John, you're a weird creature and you now have abilities to make people do what you say. Don't say a word. And nearly slits his throat. He now has a mark from a Hunt avatar. Yay!
Yay!
He gets back to the archives. He figures out that Elias Bouchard killed his predecessor. He gets maybe like 10 seconds of rest. He's kidnapped by Nikola Orzanov. So he doesn't have a fun time, and that marks him by the stranger. Then Michael Distortion shows up and is like, hey John, hey buddy, I hate you and I want to kill you before the stranger does, but also like not here, so come through my door. Turns out this is the exact moment where Helen Richardson, who is inside the spiral, finds the heart of the spiral, and as thus Michael is kicked from being the Distortion, the figure, and Helen Richardson becomes the new Distortion. The circus ritual still happens, so they go and they try and take out the circus. They end up directly in the world-ending ritual of the unknowing. The ritual fails because Timothy Stoker blows it sky high with a bomb. So, John dies in that explosion, effectively. So he's now been marked by the end. But he's not fully dead, because his mind is still running, because he is still the Avatar as an official title. So he gets visited by Oliver Banks, the guy who is an avatar of death, you remember. See how everything's connected. And Oliver Banks is kind of talking at his bedside and is like, hey, yeah, I know that you're like haunting the dreams of everyone you've ever gotten a statement from, and that's kind of messed up for you to do, then you can't control it. But here's the thing. You can make an active choice. You can die right here and be free, or you can get up and continue living, but you will live as an avatar and no longer be human. So John wakes up. But he's been in a coma for several months. So in the meantime, Martin Blackwood has been he's kind of the only person at this point who's like willing to still read statements in some regard. People are still reading statements, but Elias has gone to prison, and so now Peter Lucas, the lonely avatar, is running the Magnus Institute, and he's like, hey, Martin, you're sad and alone, and you had a crush on your boss, John. He's kind of dead right now, so how do you feel about becoming an avatar of the lonely? And Martin Blackwood is like, okay.
Sick, okay.
In reality, he's going, oh, you think that I am someone who can be a main character? You're wrong. I have never been. But you think that I can be, and that's what's important. So whatever you want to tell me, I'll remember. Jon gets out of his coma. He gets out of his coma. Breakin and Hope, the stranger guys, you remember them. They deliver a coffin tied to the buried that basically says, hey, don't open this. Daisy gets in the coffin. And Jon's like, I gotta go get Daisy. Hey, so while I was gone, the flesh tried to take over the Institute, and you just kind of trapped Jared Hopworth, the Bone Turner, inside Helen Richards' corridors. Hey, Helen, can I like go in there for a moment and talk to Jared? He gets the bone swap and just kind of places his bone. He's like, I can find my way back with one bone that I'm not very very attached to, no problem. So he jumps into the buried, he finds Daisy, they get their way out of there. Congratulations. Here's the thing, he was not pulled back by the bone, he was pulled back by the fact that Martin left tape recorders constantly playing John's voice near and on top of the coffin so that he would have a tether to return to.
That's cute.
It is cute. Melanie has joined the Institute at this point. She's joined the Institute. She's like, oh, you can quit by gouging out your eyes, say less. And John's like, I can quit by gouging out my eyes. So he goes to Martin and he's like, Martin, come with me. We can gouge out our eyes together. We can be free. And Martin's like, you know I can't do that. You came to talk to me because you know I'm the only person who can't do that and you want me to talk you out of it. So no, go away, John. You were dead. And that's it. You were dead. I don't care. And John's like, well, hey, man. He's upset. Okay, so he gets marked by the slaughter via the Melanie getting him because of the murder bullet, right? That happens. He gives a statement about, oh my god, the people of the dark are gonna end the world, so he goes and tries to stop them from ending the world. He witnesses a black hole. Yay! Okay. Peter Lucas brings Barton down to the Panopticon where we find out that Jonah Magnus is Elias Bouchard. That is what's going on. And because Martin refuses to fully join the Lonely, Peter's like, frick you, and sends him into the Forsaken. And John finds Peter Lucas and is like, you jerk, give me your statement so I can understand you. And Peter Lucas is compelled, gives his statement, which kills him on the spot because he kind of sees his watcher cast your gaze upon this wretched thing onto Peter Lucas. So John is out in the Forsaken, and he's looking for Martin. He finds Martin, and Martin's like, I really loved you, past tense. And John's like, you dumb man. I am right here. That's not what he says at all, but that's kind of the way it comes across. Oh yeah, no, they get together after this. Don't worry.
Okay.
The dinghy has sailed. It wins. They managed to get out together. And Daisy and Basira, and the people are like, hey, we have a safe house in Scotland. Do you guys just want to go for a bit? And they get 6 months of peace.
Yeah, the end. Never again.
It's not the end because, John still has to read statements to feed the eye. Otherwise, he'll just start dying. So he finds one of these statements and he starts reading it. And it says, hello, John. Apologies for the deception, but I thought it best not to announce myself until you started reading. And it is not the statement of whoever the heck about a house fire. It is, in fact, the statement of Elias Bouchard or Jonah Magnus regarding the beginning of the end. And it is this full villain monologue about, all of the marks of all of the fears and the way this has been planned from the beginning and the way that there is no up without a down and that all the fears need to come in at once. And congratulations, Jonathan Sims has ended the world. Here's the thing. The end of the world was caused by the Eye, so anyone who is affiliated with the Eye is immune. So John and Martin get to travel the world together. And they find their way to the Panopticon. And you know what? I'm going to cut it there because at that point we're in the last 10 episodes of the show.
Awesome.
Yay!
So I have a question.
Sorry.
There's a song that I really like called Slide Into the Void. Is that any way connected?
Okay, Slide Into the Void is a fan song for the game Control. Control was one of the inspirations for the Magnus Protocol, the sequel to the Magnus Archives. I say it's prequel, sequel, sidequel is the way they describe it.
Got it. Beautiful. Okay,
it's a
great.
Second universe that's correlated. These episodes are so long when I'm here. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's the Magnus Archives. You've just been spoiled for 90% of it, because to talk about all the markings of all the avatars, you need to go through the entire series.
I mean, it's a good series, it sounds like. I can see why people would get invested in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll stick to my Welcome to Night Vale funny times and my Gods of Appalachia. It's American times. They're both aggressively American.
They're in London. I never mentioned that. Magnus Archives is in London.
The way you talk, it's very clearly British. Yeah, American horror is just so different. I gotta say, like the way American horror deals with stuff has a fundamental tone difference than like literally any other horror I have seen out there.
Yeah, what's the quote? American horror is because it's big. British horror is because it's old.
Yeah, probably.
To listen to. There's also a lot of just fandom in jokes. For an example, Timothy Stoker's not dead. He's just out kayaking. So if you see the tag "No beta, we kayak like Tim," that is in reference to specifically Tim's death.
I love that. I have,
Yeah.
okay, random question that will only make sense to me. Have you seen...
Ask so many questions.
we do have to do the Q&A, but for me personally, have you seen Bee and Puppy Cat?
I have not.
No. I feel like I only know the Netflix version. I know there's a couple of different versions out there. But it's so, like, it sets itself up as, like, this person who has lost their job just really needs a pet, and so a cat that might be a puppy, but smells like a dog, but it could be a cat, descends from the sky. And Bee is just like, I guess this is my pet now. And, like, Puppy Cat is a very interesting time, and it kind of ends up being a weird, like, it has such like, oh yeah, by the way, this is horror sci-fi, but also not, so don't worry about it.
It's horror sci-fi?
Oh my god, Being Puppy Cat is not that long. You should go watch it.
I've seen, like, I feel like I've got, like, mental screenshots of what it looks like, and it does not...
It's visually, it is adorable. Like, I have a sticker on my water bottle that's Puppy Cat wearing a motorcycle helmet that says "Too cute to poot," and it's beautiful. Aesthetically, It is so perfect. But it does come out of the group of people who made... I want to do an episode on this. The weird 2010s family of animation that started off with the Adventures of Flapjack, and then it ended up becoming like Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, Bee and Puppy Cat, like this weird family of animation that's like, it was... It
not the golden era of animation, but like a little...
It was my era of animation.
It was a good era.
It was a good era.
I love the Magnus Archives. Okay, so we should probably Q&A time.
Q&A time.
It is Q&A time.
For the Q&As this week, we actually don't have any questions I'm pulling from like any of the audience or the listeners or the Tumblr people. We're just doing general vibes today because I figured that's more in line with what this episode is. So question number one, your favorite Halloween piece of media?
Can I say Magnus Archives?
Yeah, I figured.
Because the world ended on October 18th in the Magnus Archives universe, I believe. So that's my Halloween media.
I only watched Over the Garden Wall last year, and I have been living off of that music as my fall transition ever since. So
actually, honorable mention, Summerween in Gravity Falls.
Summerween is really good. Halloween Town, I have fond memories of Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus. Like, I think those three are my general vibes.
Okay.
All right, so question number 2. Have you ever gotten, like, one of those pieces of media that, like, I think the phrase they use is, like, I've rewired my brain or something. Like, you see something and now it affects the way you vibe and think and function in the world.
You know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. Magnus Archives. Because genuinely, now whenever I watch a piece of media, I categorize it according to the Magnus Archives sphere. Like, that's what I do. Horror media, regular media, anything. Even more than that, my personal, like, level of what is horror is messed up because the Magnus Archives was the first horror thing I ever interacted with.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was very much, like, into Welcome to Night Vale, and so a lot of the way I perceived the world was this very kind of, like, off-kiltered, funny horror of, like, the man who is not tall and the man who is not short arrive at your door and threaten you. Yeah. And then there's also the woman who secretly lives in your home, and the All Hail the Glow Cloud. And
the dog park.
The dog park, like, the dog park where no dogs are allowed to enter. Like, that is very much, like, that was me in high school.
Most of the media I like is just people being very introspective and thinking, because I love how much, like, it's mainly fan fiction. I love how much fan fiction allows... I love how much it allows people to, like, it's mainly just media that doesn't need to go through a censor first. Like, Minecraft roleplays and fan fiction and, like, web comics and stuff like that, they rarely need to go through a censor. They don't need to go through a board of what exactly is approved. It is someone or a team making a story that tells what they want to say and how they want to say it. And a lot of the times, because it's digital, you have that sense of anonymity. And so they can post about things that are, like, deeper to them. And I love psychoanalyzing people through fan fiction. I love doing that. So,
you've beta read my fan fiction. What psychoanalyst have you done to me?
I've done a bit. You're a bit tricky to pin down. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
I am chaos, so that is kind of the point.
Yeah, I feel I need to like I feel like I need to like talk to you more frequently without being on the podcast to like fully get you. I got a couple things. I've mainly tacked down some of your Magnus stuff, but I haven't gotten the finer details yet.
The fact
I
that
like looking at the way.
the watcherness, that everything must be explained and told and comprehended and put into tiny little books and then thrown at people saying, figure it out.
You are you would be an Avatar, the Thesis Watcher, 100,000%. I need things to be explained. John in seasons 1 through like 4.
We don't need
and
to
season
look
5,
at my
things are
5
explained.
notebooks full of Dream SMP lore. Did you know Awesome Dude ate his own arm? And people say, oh, it's audible cannibalism. But I say no, because fun fact, that was not his body. He made clones of himself that he can jump his consciousness in between. And he just ate one of his clone's arms. And that's why he's not considered one of the characters to be canonically disabled.
Okay.
I have information that must be shared.
Avatar of the Eye. I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the Percy Jackson God assignments. It's just that's who you are.
That checks out.
The divergent houses. Yeah, they're divergent factions. That's what's called.
Well, I have one last question, but I don't know how much time we have.
Okay.
If someone was to do a ritual to summon you, or had to put like 5 items on the Pentagon to summon you, what would that look like?
Ooh, okay. A rubber duck that is not currently in my collection. 18 rolls of plain salmon sushi. I don't. You give me what's in your slot so I can think about what's in mine.
Someone being wrong about Minecraft lore. A rubber duck that breathes fire.
Okay, so you're trying to make it hard to achieve, not easy to achieve.
No. I mean,
I can make a rubber duck shoot fire. I've got like, okay. I don't think you've ever seen my rubber duck collection. It goes. I've got a shelf above my computer.
Yeah,
it is fully stocked with rubber ducks.
There
and
will
then
be
a
substitution of a rubber duck with a little propeller hat that spins.
Okay, yeah, I can. I don't have one of those. I can buy one. I'm sorry.
I feel like
I've got a Spider-Man rubber duck with a gamer headset on.
A book, but it has to be one of my favorites. Like it would have to be like Crooked Kingdom or Dear Mrs. Bird or Magnus Chase or Howl's Moving Castle or Pinch of Magic or Night Circus or Cemetery Boys or Spinning Silver. I would have to...
Opening my Kindle to grab those real quick.
Those are so good. Something like handcrafted that is related to Minecraft, but like is clearly made like someone did this physically.
Yeah, love, care, and attention. What is your final item? Or was that 5?
I wasn't. Do you think I was counting?
You had propeller duck, someone who's wrong about Minecraft.
Yeah.
Handmade item.
A book.
Book.
That's really good.
Yeah. Did you have a 5th item? Give me your 5th item.
A photograph of this one random lake in Iceland that I went to once that was like super foggy and super pretty, and it's like literally my favorite place in the world, and I have no clue how to get back there because I was not paying attention to how we got there in the first place.
Lonely Avatar. No,
I know you were talking about that. I'm like, I know where that is. I've been there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll send you a picture of the picture later. It's one of those lava formed lakes, so like all the rocks are hardened lava that's been cast, and it's like mossy and everything because it hasn't quite been long enough for nature to truly like start becoming green again. Stunning.
Okay. So I said mine was 18 rolls of plain salmon sushi, a rubber duck that's not currently in my collection. I gotta pick some harder to achieve items or someone's gonna actually try and summon me. At least 10-page analysis on something that both I and the person writing the analysis are incredibly passionate about. The final item is a full animated version of the pilot that I made. Because I did make storyboards for an entire 15-minute animated pilot for a TV show that has a full scripted season. And if someone can have... No one has access to that file, but if they can fully animate it for me, they get to summon me. Okay, hang on, let me check the images. Oh, wow.
I know, right?
That's gorgeous.
That's why it's my favorite place ever. It's some random lake in Iceland off of their Highway 1 loop.
Mm-hmm. Cut to, like, the people are really good at finding things on Google Images.
Okay, so here's the deal. I know I was at the Blue Lagoon that day, and theoretically we were going to the airport later that day. So it is, in theory, between those two places.
Googling to see if I can find it.
It's just some lake. Our bus literally pulled over for 5 seconds to give us a leg stretch moment.
It's not even like a tourist attraction.
No, it's just some lake.
Every lake's got a name.
Unless it's Iceland, where lakes come and go with the lava flow.
Every lake has a story. Right, should we call it? Is that the end? I'm sorry, it's a long episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I spoiled the whole Magnus Archives. Go listen to it anyway.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of FanDive. We'll be back again next Monday diving into yet another fandom. Have a topic or question for the podcast? Head over to our website, fandive.tumblr.com. There you can also find any episode relevant images and general shenanigans that we get up to. It is Tumblr, after all. We're not afraid of being fans of things.